What is happening, guys? Chris from NCG here. Today I have something incredibly special for you. This is Hampus Ericsson's first place Offenbach Germany Regionals Sylveon deck list. This is still alive, still going strong, and he took the entire event with resolving magical ribbon. So I'm going to run through the deck list, run through basically why this deck did so well, and basically why you shouldn't consider it going into your next event. So start off, we have 4 copies of EV. This is the reason why Sylveon and all the EV evolutions are so powerful. It's because of energy evolution. It turns them from stage 1s into basic Pokemon so long as you open the energy. So having the EV just makes the deck completely. And then the only other Pokemon with the deck is Sylveon GX, 200 HP, 1 Fairy Energy, Magical Ribbon. Search your deck for 3 cards and add them to your hand, and of course your turn ends because it's an attack, but it's okay, you've just searched 3 cards from your deck as early as turn 1 because of the energy evolution EV. So just searching all your disruption, all your combo extenders is just a really solid attack. And slightly less relevant than it used to be is Fairy Wind for a Fairy, and the DC it does 110 points of damage. You're knocking out a Rayquaza with that, and an Ultra Necrozma because of weakness. And GX, again, not as relevant as it used to be because he isn't actually setting up to attack with Sylveon in this deck, as opposed to past lists that did. They didn't really objectively try to attack with anything other than Magical Ribbon, but the option was always there. So GX, put 2 of your opponent's bench Pokemon, from their bench on into their hand, and all cards attached to them. So usually the rare candy stage 2s, you put this back up. This gives you a Metagross matchup when you're playing Gardevoir Sylveon. So it is a really good GX attack, no doubt. Then that's it for the Pokemon. We'll move on to the items. He's playing 1 copy of Counter Catcher. Seeing as everything is searchable, having one-offs like this is just incredibly good. You don't need more than 1 copy. This comes up very rarely. It's not to be aggressive or not to pick up prizes, it is to bring out something with heavy retreat and just disrupt your opponent and make sure that they stall while you're going off and collecting every card that you need to win the match. Sorry, can't speak today for some reason. Then moving on to the rest of the items, 4 copies of Crushing Hammer. So yes, 4 copies. What this card does is flip a coin if it is discarding energy from one of your opponent's Pokemon. The fact that it is flip a coin is irrelevant considering you're searching it, so it's not exactly like you're losing any advantage. It was free advantage to begin with, so even if you do become really unlucky and always get tails in your Crushing Hammer, don't fret too much, but if you do get heads, this card is such a turnaround, it is such a momentum breaker, taking off DCAs, taking off energy off Rayquaza. Just the amount of uses this card has is amazing, and part of the reason why Sylveon is such a potent deck. Then partnering it, the other hammer, the Daddy Hammer, Enhanced Hammer, no flip a coin, but it only takes a special energy off. So as I said, the DCEs, the unit energies, Enshrine, the Beast energies, Rainbow energies. There's a long list of cards that Enhanced Armor can take off, and all of them are super relevant, super important. So Enhanced Armor is a very good card. 1 copy of Field Blower. I don't exactly know 100% why you played this card. I would imagine just getting rid of stuff like Choice Band, so it gives Sylveon that longevity. Taking off Shrine, I guess, as well. It's kind of nice, but you have so much healing cards in this deck that I don't think that's the main use at all. So I'm not too sure. I would imagine it's Choice Band to give Sylveon that longevity. But 1 copy of Field Blower nonetheless, and as I mentioned, the lots of healing, 4 copies of Max Potion. It doesn't matter, you're only losing 1 energy because you only play 1 energy on a Sylveon at the time, so you heal another energy on Magical Ribbon and repeat. It just goes towards that win condition of the mill stall. So Max Potion is a very key card in that strategy. Only 1 copy of Nest Ball. I think that's very ballsy, no pun intended, because the threat of a dunk is actually really relevant because Buzzwole is probably the most paid fighting Pokemon in the game right now, so actually stalling with only one EV and whiffing energy, regardless of how you feel unlikely it is, I think not maxing out in your nest balls just to ensure that you don't get dunked and to ensure that you get going is really important. But it's not my deck. He only played one copy of nest ball, maybe just didn't get dunked, or maybe the Mavs just simply states it as correct. One Pal Pad to cycle through your, recycle your supporters, which are really key in the deck. Stuff like Acerola, Professor Kukui, so you can match knockouts or match the Orangaries every time to ensure you have a Kukui to knock it out so it ends their Orangari loop or Orangaru loop, whatever way you want to pronounce it. So Pal Pad is really important. One copy of Lysander Labs. This is again, I think the same as Field Blower. It turns off choice bands. That's the only real relevant. A skateboard because of my boy Rook and Shao. So Lysander Labs is a really good stadium, and of course taking off Shrine isn't too bad either. The other stadium he's playing is one copy of Mount Lanakila. The retreat cost of each basic Pokemon in play, both yours and your opponent's Pokemon, is 1 more. So it just adds the same reason as Counter Catcher to stall out your opponent, to make sure that they can't get their game plan going or to even start threatening you. So it's a really good disruptive stadium in that sense. Moving on to the supporters, we have 3 copies of Acerola, same as Max Potion, except Sylveon comes off the board. So there is that sort of way that you have an EV up, or you have to have an EV up to keep going, or you have to place an EV back down. But Acerola is still really good. If you're disrupting your opponent completely, you're under no threat from them maybe guzzling up an EV and knocking it out or whatever. So Acerola is really good. But it does rely on you having another EV, which can, in a way, be countered. Next supporter, seriously can't talk today. One copy of Gladian, just to make sure that you can still play if a lot of your combo pieces are prized. Just a really important card in that sense. 2 copies of Guzma. Like I said, you don't really actively try to pick up prizes. I'm not too sure if that's the case in the mirror or against other stall decks. I don't honestly know. But Guzma is there to bring up a big heavy retreater and just stall out your opponents. So 2 copies of Guzma, 2 copies of Judge to deal with those algorithm GXs or Tempest GXs, because you want to create that resource divide, strip away your opponent's resources while gathering up a load of yours, and of course Judge prevents yourself from getting decked out. You can loop it with Luzamine, so Judge is really important in the deck. And speaking of 2 copies of Luzamine, this is the way that you can basically never deck out. You Luzamine back a Judge and a Luzamine. Next turn, Judge, Luzamine back in, and continue on as you did before. It takes 2 turns to do, but if you're playing it right, then you'll never deck out. This was actually a thing that they were bringing up that could happen, that the other stall deck, the Steelix deck, played this as well. So basically the 2 decks whose win condition was stall could just go on forever, and there is no time in Top Cut, so because there can't be draws, so literally no prizes are taken. It just keeps going on and on and on and on and on. So maybe Pokemon TCG might do something about that. I think Luzamine's actually a really pretty designed card. All in all, the fact that it can loop itself, so not actually itself, it has to have another copy, but you know what I mean. Luzamine's a really pretty designed card, but that's the reason why I played 2 of it. Went off on a bit of a tangent there. 1 copy of Mars. Just draw 2 cards. You can discard 1 random card from your opponent's hand. Just more disruption and gets you some draw cards. 4 copies of Plumeria. Discard 2 cards from your hand if you discard an energy card from your opponent's Pokemon. So there's a Crushing Hammer that does not involve a coin flip. It does, however, rely on you eating your supporter for turn and discarding 2 cards. Discarding 2 cards part shouldn't be important considering you're searching 3 every turn. But this is the same as Crushing Hammer, strip off Rayquazas, energy, DCEs, your basic energy on the Shrine decks. Plumeria is a really solid card, and it just gives the deck something that it's lost with Team Flare Grunt. So, continuing on to Professor Kukui, this is to take knockouts on the Orangaroos that might be seen, or will definitely be seen after this event, in the Zoroark list, because the way Sylveon was usually stomped was by resource management Orangaroo. So you put 3 cards back to the bottom of your deck, and you basically out-resource the Sylveon, and they are stripped of their wing condition. So Professor Kukui, that's another scenario I was talking about earlier. I'm not too sure if you actually attack, but you do. You attack the Orangaroo, so Professor Kukui, that's why it is played as a 2-of. Then continuing on, last one of the supporters is Team Skull Grunt. Your opponent reveals their hand, discard 2 energy cards from it. So if they're holding on to their energy to avoid stuff like Plumeria, or they're just not being super aggressive with their energy because of Crushing Hammers, Enhanced Hammers, and Plumeria, Team Skull Grunt really punishes that. So you're basically punishing your opponent for playing energy, and you're punishing your opponent for not. What a beautiful strategy. Team Flare Grunt, or Team Skull Grunt, too many teams. Team Skull Grunt is a really important card in that way. Just basically limit your opponent's options of what they can really do to stop you from basically not letting them play the game. So that's it for the supporters. Just tools now. Bodybuilding dumbbells makes Sylveon into a 240 HP body. So if it was difficult to knock out before, it is insanely difficult to knock out now. And you can keep this on and keep recycling with Ace of Rollers and Max Potion to heal up. So as you imagine, looking through the deck list, this is what the win condition is, just to make Sylveon last for as long as possible. And lastly, for the deck, there is 12 copies of Fairy Energy, because you have to open this. Like, there's no ifs, ands, or buts. You have to see this, or you just straight lose. So starting EV, you have to start EV because you only play EV as your basic, so you will always start EV. You just have to make sure that you have a Fairy Energy to go with it, or you lose the game. So 12 copies may seem excessive because you're not actually going to use 12. I know Wax Potion is a thing, but you're not really going to use 12. It's just to make sure that you see it ASAP. And 2 copies of DCE. Our past Sylveon list played this at a higher count because they did actually choose to attack sometimes, like PGX, to further disrupt your opponent's setup. But this deck doesn't really seem to do that. It only wants to attack when it's against Orangaroo, and maybe some other obscure scenarios that I haven't talked about. So if you enjoyed the deck, guys, I'm going to leave a link to the original post on Heyfonte. And what I was saying earlier was, I don't think this deck is good going forward, because Sylveon's greatest strength is his obscurity. The less people know about Sylveon, the better it will do, because this deck actually is a skill to play and play against. If you sit down against Sylveon and you don't know what you're doing, you will get destroyed completely, because there is a way to play against. You have to know when to extend, you have to know when to disrupt, you have to know when to target things down, go on the aggressive, on the defensive, and of course techs for the deck kind of hurt, like the Orangaroo or Metal, stuff like that. So the least people who know about Sylveon, the absolute better. So that's why I do believe that you should not be considering this deck going forward. You should definitely be considering it and be aware of it. Maybe start learning how to play against it, maybe start putting Orangaroo back into your Zoroark decks, but I definitely would not recommend this deck going forward. So hope you enjoyed the deck, guys. As I say, I'll leave the post in the description so you can ask the guy some questions. Well done to him again. It was a great win, great event. Check you out next time, guys. Thank you.